Welcome to Dune Chapter by Chapter. I'm Dominic. Now, in the last chapter that I talked about was we see Paul and Jessica was taken out to the desert to be killed by the Harkonnens, but the Harkonnens completely underestimated Paul. And because of that, they were able to escape. They didn't gag Paul. They didn't put any kind of special binding on him. So he was able to use the voice, even though he's not adept at it. He was able to use it enough that he could trick the one Harkonnen guard into removing Jessica's gag. Then she could use the voice and then trick the guards into fighting over each other and get the one guy to kill the other guard. While then Paul then delivered a precision kick to kill the remaining guard with one shot to the chest and crushed part of his heart and killed him. So yeah, some pretty cool stuff. And so now in this chapter, which is a really short chapter, it's only like a couple pages. But in this chapter, we see the first appearance of a Sadukar guard in this. Even they're dressed as Harkonnen. Dr. Yueh meets one comes in the hallway, and he demands, okay, where's the Duke? Okay, this is the Duke. Did you do this? Is he dead or is he drugged? Dr. Yueh tells him, no, he's drugged. And then he sees the other two bodies, and they ask Dr. Yueh, is this because of you? Dr. Yueh says yes. And then the Sadukar guard hunts around for Duke Leto's ring, can't find it, and then he asks Dr. Yueh where it is. Dr. Yueh just plays dumb. I have no idea. Usually he sends it off with a message, a high priority message, so they know it's from him and all this kind of stuff, to someone he trusts. And so anyway, the guards all treat Dr. Yueh with zero respect and just refer to him as traitor. And this is the thing, Dr. Yueh is now a pariah in society. Even for those that benefit from his betrayal, they have no respect for him. They just call him a traitor, and they treat him like crap. And now he has nothing left. All he has left is his revenge, and he basically sold his soul for this revenge. There's nothing else that he has left. That's all he has to live for. And he knows it. He knows he's a traitor, and he realizes in this chapter that when he dies and the history books remember him, he will be remembered as a traitor. And that's what it'll be remembered for forever, for all of time, as long as the record books last, unfortunately. And now, one thing about this, I always kind of wondered this reading the book. At what point did the Harkonnens get control of Dr. Yueh? When did they capture his wife? How did they get in contact with him? How did they actually go about? Because he's already turned, when the book starts. Whatever they did with his wife, they've already done it. They've already got him in their back pocket. So we don't really see how that happens. Now, I know Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson, whatever you think of their writing, I know some people are fans of their books. Some people can't stand their books, but they have a new trilogy coming out about Duke Leto, and it's supposed to be right before the events of Dune, I guess, the first book, from my understanding. So maybe that's something that will be explored in those books. Now, whatever kind of a job Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson do with that, I have no idea. But that's a possibility. Now, the other thing is, so that's something I've always wondered. Now, the other thing about this is we see the rest of his plan fall into place. We saw it in the chapter where Duke Leto realizes that Dr. Yueh is the traitor, and he stuns Duke Leto and then puts in that tooth, poison gas tooth. But now we see the other part of it, because now the time, we kind of jump around in time a little bit in the book, because this chapter actually takes place before the previous chapter. Because in the previous chapter, they've crashed, or they've landed, and Jessica and Paul have taken out the Harkonnen guards, and then they found a desert kit stuffed up and underneath one of the pilot seats of the Harkonnen ornithopter. So we actually get to see how that got there in this chapter. So they haven't at this point in time that this chapter is happening, they haven't taken Lady Jessica and Paul yet. So we actually see that Dr. Yueh sneaks around As everyone, nobody respects him. Everyone basically thinks of him as dirt. So he's almost kind of got a little bit of invisibility. So he kind of casually sneaks over to the Harkonnen ornithopter that's going to be used to take away Lady Jessica and Paul, and he slips out the Duke's ring. So he saved the ring for Paul, and he's going to use it to, or he's going to stash it in with the still suits along with a note. And because that was part of his promise, to give the ring to Paul and to save Lady Jessica and Paul's life. And then he just kind of gently closes the door so no one hears him on the ornithopter, and then slips away. So that's the other way he's going to betray the Baron, is by saving Lady Jessica and Paul, and stealing away the ring for Paul, so Paul ends up with his father's ring. And then the final act will be Duke Leto biting down on the poison gas tooth and exhaling really hard in hopes that it will get the Baron. So yeah, short chapter, but an interesting one, because we kind of get to see now that Dr. Yueh is basically a broken, hollowed out man at this point. He's betrayed so much to get revenge for what the Harkonnens did to his wife, and that he would do anything, literally selling his soul to the devil. The Baron Harkonnen in this chapter. Now, the other thing I've always wondered about while reading Dune is why Dr. Yueh never went to the Atreides for help when he found out that the Harkonnens had his wife in the first place. And that's like a question mark I always had, is why he never actually somehow tried to reach out to Duke Leto and the others to somehow communicate to them that the Harkonnens had his wife, or that that he was being compromised by the Harkonnens, or the Harkonnens were trying to compromise him. That's a question that I always had. Because for sure the Atreides would have been able to do something or try to help him somehow. So that would be, I guess, if you're going to explore any ideas in a prequel. Not that this is an idea that really needs to be explored, but it's something that they probably will in a prequel book at some point in time. But it's a question that I've always had. And it just goes to show like how absolutely devoted and in love with his wife Dr. Yueh was, that he could go to such absolute lengths to get revenge for what was done to her. And now at this point in the book, I don't know if he realizes his wife is dead or they have her alive and they're torturing her. That's one of the things that I'm not sure about yet going forward in this book. I can't quite remember how it worked out in the book, but we'll find out in the next few chapters anyway. If they actually kept his wife alive or they have her killed, and because most likely the Harkonnens are just going to kill her and then betray Dr. Yueh and kill him. So still, then that kind of brings up the question why he would go along with it in the first place, because you would have to know that it's a no-win situation for him. That if he cooperates, then the Harkonnens are going to kill his wife regardless. Or maybe the Harkonnens kind of made the deal so that, well, do you want your wife to suffer really bad before we kill her, or do you want her to die really quick? If you want her to suffer really bad, then don't work with us. If you want her misery to end fast, then work with us and we can end it quick. But you have to betray the Atreides for us. So that's one thing I've always wondered about. But this one, short chapter, but still some pretty interesting stuff in it. And we get to see how he gets the ring and stuff, the Frem kit, or the desert kit, in the Harkonnen ornithopter. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one.